I remember on the day of the accident, I was at home when I received a phone call from a local news station asking if anyone of any part of my family had been involved in a motor vehicle accident. Left me at the age of 20 to care for my 5-year-old little brother and my 15-year-old sister. I think today the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is have to tell my little brother that his mom was coming back. Well, I think the reason that I was able to raise my brother and sister and work 2 jobs, cook, clean, maintain the household, was because I didn't want to let myself quit. And I didn't want to set the example for my younger siblings that no matter how bad of a hand you've been dealt, you can't succeed. The type of lawyer that I am today is because I want to give back and hopefully represent clients like myself. Clients that, when they need it the most, they need someone to speak for them. I want to pay that back.
Today, the Insider Exclusive goes behind the headlines in Dangerous Tires, Oscar Mendez's story, to examine how Ptr Scherr, partner at Scherr Legate, successfully won a $10 million verdict, the first of its kind in Texas, against Ptr Tire for defective tires. After an 8-week trial, a Texas jury of everyday citizens found that the Ptr Tire's manufacturing defect was 100% responsible for multiple passenger deaths in a horrific automobile crash. The trial court's evidence proved the Ptr Tire separated because of contamination and adhesion failure. Ptr Tire appealed the case to the 8th Texas Court of Appeals, which reviewed the entire case and evidence and lost, affirming the $10 million jury verdict. The Court of Appeals found the experts were very qualified and that the evidence supported the verdict. Ptr Tire then appealed the case to the Texas Supreme Court. Oscar's story is a story of justice as well as a story of injustice, because when the case was appealed to the Texas Supreme Court, a 100% Republican pro-business court, it fell victim to a complete reversal in an extraordinary string of over 90 Supreme Court reversals against ordinary people and in favor of major corporations. Today, for the first time publicly, the Insider Exclusive will examine if justice is really blind in the state of Texas. Can ordinary people really get justice against big business in the state of Texas? And the real reasons behind this strange odyssey of injustice. Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from El Paso, Texas. It's my great pleasure to introduce Ptr Scherr to the show. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Glad to be with you, Steve.
Tell our audience a little bit about what your firm does. What kind of law do you practice?
We're a victims' rights firm. We represent people who have been injured or killed and the families of those to try and help them in the most grievous times of their lives, where they seek justice, don't necessarily have the economic wherewithal to do it, but are asking for help within the legal system.
Mm-hmm. Today we have such a case like that, which is the Ptr Tire case. Tell us a little bit about Oscar Mendez's family, and then tell us the facts of this case.
Oscar Mendez, when I met him, was 18 years of age. He had a little sister who was about 12 or 13 and a little brother who was under 10. Oscar's father had been with, who was also named Oscar, had been driving the minivan owned by their friend, taking his compadre, who died in this incident, and his compadre's his compadre's mother and her twin sister. They were going to take them from El Paso to Albuquerque to go to play at the casinos for the day.
Right.
And they were driving up from El Paso all the way to Albuquerque. About 100 miles from where this incident happened, they changed drivers, and Oscar, the father, took over driving of the vehicle. So he was fresh and ready to drive. As they were driving up on their way to Albuquerque, the left rear tire separated. The tread totally came off. Oscar lost control of the vehicle. It swerved over to the right, and then trying to correct, he leaned it back brought it back to the left, and it went out of control over both lanes of the highway into the median, where it flipped and rolled several times, ejecting several of the passengers. It killed Mrs. Mendez. It killed his compadre. It killed the twin sisters, and it brain damaged the passenger with him. Oscar, the father, driving, was injured and lost it. From his standpoint, he left home and left his son, Oscar Jr., to take care of the family.
Now, the tire was actually a Cooper, manufactured by Cooper Tires, right?
Yes, sir. It was a Cooper tire. It had been manufactured by Cooper Tire in Texarkana.
Yeah.
And we got in a lawsuit against Cooper Tire and did a significant amount of effort to try and gain discovery from Cooper Tire.
And some of that effort was subpoenaing information from Cooper Tire, which they did not give you, right?
Cooper Tire resisted all the discovery that we sent to them. Every time we requested information, they objected. The court eventually appointed a master in discovery to try and get us the information. And by that time we were set for trial. We would be unable to get to the fixed trial date if we pushed the discovery. So we proceeded on to trial without getting all the discovery.
Okay, what did you mention, Master of Discovery? Is that a title?
The court being so loaded down with all these motions,
right,
and appointed another judge to assist that judge just to address the objections that were raised by Cooper Tire to the discovery.
But it seems that that really didn't help a lot, because you didn't end up getting the information anyway, did you?
Right. By the time that the discovery disputes were coming to a head,
yeah,
trial was coming right up behind it.
One of the reasons we do these shows is here you are, a lawyer trying to discover the truth, but on the other side, your adversary, Cooper Tire, they're doing everything to throw a wrench into the judicial process so you can't discover the truth, right?
Brick wall, millions for defense, not a penny for the victims.
Yeah. Now, what happened as a result of this case? You won, first time in Texas, you got a verdict against Cooper Tire of what, $10 million?
Approximately $10 million. It was it was the first verdict against Cooper Tire for a defective tire.
Because they had fought many other cases like this in this scorched earth litigation, meaning that they try every which way they can to deny any kind of liability or responsibility, right?
They had a history of doing that.
You used a very good expert by the name of Rex Grogan.
Correct.
And Rex Grogan, background was, I think he was British, correct? He had written a book. The name of the book was Investigators, what was it? Do you remember? In the Investigator's Guide to Tire Failures. He's kind of a leading expert, wasn't he?
Rex Grogan was one of the leading experts for the tire industry.
Yeah.
He had worked for Dunlap Tire for I think 30 or 40 years,
yeah,
and he was their testifying expert, their forensic expert.
Yeah. And I think it's important to bring him up because as a result, because of him testifying on your client's behalf, that's one of the reasons why you won this case. And more importantly, Cooper Tire appealed it to the 8th Circuit, is that right?
They appealed it to the El Paso Court of Appeals.
Okay. And the Court of Appeals affirmed it. They upheld it, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Stating and pointing out that the expert was really a great expert, and this is what won the case, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell our audience what happened when Cooper Tire appealed it again to the highest court in Texas, Texas Supreme Court.
The Texas Supreme Court reversed the case and rendered the case and found against the plaintiffs entirely, all the victims.
And on what basis?
They it was a result-based opinion. You could see in reading that opinion that the Supreme Court was looking at a way to turn the decision around. It was result-based. They found that Rex Grogan, they said he was marginally qualified as an expert, but found that his opinions were not reliable on what he testified to in this case, even though their experts had less reliable evidence than Mr. Grogan did.
So were they saying, in essence, that Rex Grogan's opinion should not have been even included in the original trial?
That's exactly what the Supreme Court said.
And therefore, since you really didn't have an expert, according to them, then you shouldn't have won the trial to begin with.
That's correct.
Which, as I read it, it places the Texas Supreme Court as a better expert than Rex Grogan, right?
That's exactly.
Somebody on that bench was a really good tire expert, right?
No.
I know, I'm being facetious here. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Texas Supreme Court. It is the Supreme Court of your state.
Yes, sir, it is.
And this was just one verdict in a string of, I think, 90 verdicts where they ruled against plaintiffs. They reversed cases where the plaintiff, the little guy, didn't get anything and the corporations got everything.
It's known throughout the Texas legal practice that that's what's happening in the state.
The Texas Supreme Court is today, I think, comprised of 100% Republican-appointed justices. Is that correct?
That's right.
All pro-business.
Yes, sir, and pro-industry, pro-insurance.
Yeah. So my question to you is justice blind in the state of Texas?
Obviously. At the Supreme Court, obviously you can see that there is not justice at the Texas Supreme Court for victims who've been injured or killed in the state. There has been a continuum of this for many years now.
I think a lot of people need to understand that when you sue a major corporation, it's not a simple task because, like Cooper Tire, they bring out all the ammunition to fight you and any way they can to stall you in the court system, don't they?
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Well, even though it was reversed, it was a tremendous victory, and it inspired your client, Oscar Mendez Jr., to go on to become a lawyer himself. He works for your firm now, and we're going to have him on right now. And when we have him on, I want our audience to understand that this story moved you personally too, because you helped Oscar go to law school so that he could go on and help other people like you do. And I'm very glad you did that. So let's bring Oscar on right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce Oscar Mendez to the show. Welcome to the show, Oscar.
Glad to be here.
Your story is remarkable, and Jim's involvement with developing you as a lawyer is a remarkable story too. When Oscar first came to you, Jim, when he first came to you, this case first came, how did you get this case, by the way?
The family friend and lawyer for Oscar had contacted us and asked, can we help? His family has been disrupted badly.
Yeah. When you first met Oscar, he was?
About 18.
18, driving a bus, part-time, right? Working your way through college, correct?
Yeah, I was working with the school district.
You said you had a long ponytail, is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
And what did you see? And you know, this is a very unique story because you saw a great person in Oscar, and you developed him and encouraged him to go to law school, didn't you?
Oscar is a very smart young man. He was very responsible. He grew up to be mature like that.
Yeah, he had to. You had no choice, did you?
No, not much.
You are still helping your brother and sister, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
One of them just graduated from, is it college?
Yeah, one just graduated.
Your sister?
My sister just graduated in accounting.
Oh, terrific. And your youngest brother, what is he doing?
He's currently attending UTIP.
Wow. And you're still helping them, huh?
Yes.
You are an amazing guy. Hey, I wanted to ask both of you, you know, practicing plaintiff law in the state of Texas can be kind of treacherous, especially when you have the Texas Supreme Court up there that is really pro-business. What are your feelings about justice here in the state of Texas, and can it be achieved?
Justice still prevails in the state of Texas, but it's a difficult road to get there. You have so many hurdles that you have to overcome,
Right.
and the defense really has, the insurance companies really control a lot of activity that
Yeah.
takes place in the state.
Because the insurance companies know, hey, if you win at the trial level, we'll get you on the way up, right?
They tell us that on every single case we have.
Did they actually tell you that?
Every single case
Those
we
words come out of their mouth.
It's a nonstop threat.
Settle now because you're not going to win later. Is that right?
have. Every case we have.
Wow. So what's your strategy with a lot of these cases? Because, you try them all, right? Hoping that some information will come out where you will be upheld in the higher levels?
Well, we don't try every single case, and justice does prevail in many of these cases. But when we go through and work the case up and get it ready for trial and do try them,
Yeah.
many people on the insurance companies don't want to take up these horrible, horrible cases time and again.
Yeah.
They can't take everything up to the Supreme Court.
Right.
They can't. The Republican Supreme Court cannot overturn every case that's issued in the state.
So the more egregious it is, the more likely you'll get a verdict that's upheld.
And well, I don't think so. Not with the Supreme Court of Texas.
Yeah.
You'd never know what result-based opinion's coming down next.
Yeah, well, the insurance companies are cost conscious too, and they just don't want to spend all the money for every one of these appeals, correct?
We have no idea how the insurance companies
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah. Let's talk about tires in general and Cooper Tires. Even though ultimately you lost the case, I understand that Cooper Tire recalled this particular tire and 15 other models, did they not?
I don't know if this tire was particularly recalled.
Yeah, but I mean, in tires in general, there's been a lot of cases where tires, for example, have been sold, they were old, you didn't know how old they were, they exploded. There's been a lot of defective tires out there, haven't there?
The quality control, for example, in this tire, we presented evidence
Yeah.
from former employees that worked at the Texarkana plant
Right.
at Cooper, who talked about the way that they made the tires. There were bubble gum, meat,
Yeah.
wrappers inside the tires as they were making them, which obviously affected adhesion.
When you presented this evidence, these were actually former employees that came to the court and testified, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
Well, we played depositions.
yeah, and interestingly enough, the Texas Supreme Court never addressed any of that, did they?
Correct.
Yeah, they just addressed what they wanted to address. When you take on a case, because we were talking earlier, what's your philosophy when you take on a case about settlements versus going to trial?
Our philosophy is to do right by our client.
Yeah.
And to protect the rights of the victim as much as possible. We believe that justice does prevail in this country. And we believe that the rights of the victims are equal and should be treated that way.
Yeah. Do you see, as a result of the cases that you've seen this office handle, do you see changes, permanent changes put into place where society is better off because of the work that you guys have done?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah?
Most definitely, especially here in the El Paso community.
Okay.
We set the standard for safety, I'd like to say.
And give me an example of one that comes to your mind right now.
Every case we have,
Yeah.
we work on what's called the standard for safety. The Mendoza case, for example, is one that's a great example,
Yeah.
where the standard of the U.S. company on the U.S. side was one standard,
Yeah.
and the standard in the Mexican side was a double standard.
And that's changed now.
We don't know that it has,
Yeah.
but when that happens,
Right.
justice needs to come to play.
Yeah. So now you've been a lawyer for, since 2008?
Yes, sir.
For 4 years. And you are, both of you, fight for the underdog, right? When you decided to become a lawyer, you still had all these responsibilities of taking care of your sister and your brother and the bills to pay and everything. That must have been so weighty for you, wasn't it? How did you do it?
Times I think back, I really don't know, to be honest with you. It was a very trying time, but
Yes.
luckily I had a great support system. You know, so I really don't. I guess for me, it's just kind of, I felt like I had to do it.
Right.
I had to, it's not that whether failure was not an option.
I got to hand it to you. One of the reasons that we do these shows is because there are not that many lawyers who are willing to risk their time and their money based on a contingency basis to do right for people, right?
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
You don't find that? Well, we would appreciate you spending time with us on the show.
One of the things that's real important for all of us in this country is to always stand up for what's right. Just because somebody above doesn't like it or they want to establish a policy of wrongdoing or wrong, that you have to fight that, and you have to make certain the right prevails.
Well, thank God you believe that way, and thank God you believe that way, and we really appreciate you spending time with us on the show. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.